The romanticization of the anti-hero in television and film has indeed become a hallmark of contemporary storytelling, captivating audiences with characters who exude a blend of charm, moral ambiguity, and a defiance of traditional heroism. Cillian Murphy's portrayal of Thomas Shelby in Peaky Blinders exemplifies this trend, as the character embodies the charisma and complex morality that make anti-heroes so compelling. Since 2013, the series has been emblematic of this cultural phenomenon, with Murphy's performance garnering widespread acclaim. Peaky Blinders is not just a show, it's a time machine to the lawless streets of 1920s Birmingham, where the razor-brimmed caps of the Shelby clan cut through the fog of post-war England. At its pulsing heart is Murphy's Thomas, a man carved from the very essence of conflict, a war hero turned gangster kingpin, driven by a relentless ambition to etch the Shelby name into the annals of British notoriety. Tommy is a Class A anti-hero, one in a long line of modern television. From Breaking Bad's Walter White to Game of Thrones' Tyrion, it seems today's audience loves to spend their time with the bad boy. These protagonists possess opposite traits of those of your classic hero. Cillian Murphy suggests it's in part down to the time these characters have to be explored in. For your blockbuster, you've got to get the clean-cut hero and the baddie. But in TV now, there seems to be this gray area. We're able to make the anti-hero or the complex, conflicted, f***ed-up character the main character again. If you look at people in these shows, they've all got big issues. They're all dealing with shit because you have the time to explore them and shine a light into all the little corners of their personality. From the beginning of the first episode, we're introduced to Tommy as someone in power, and we can feel his dark undertone. He is sharply dressed and greeted by everyone he passes, consistently maintaining a menacing stillness to his physicality. The war is an ever-present theme in the show, particularly in Season 1, and we see how all these young men have been left altered by their experiences. He confesses early on, when Freddie Thorne questions whether he should have let Tommy die in France, that, "There are nights I wish you did." The soldiers are just spat back into society trying to find a way to exist, and they have access to violence and violence as a form of expression. Here, Murphy suggests it is the echo of the war driving the violent code these men live by. Having come so close to death himself, Tommy feels he's now living on borrowed time. This allows him a fearlessness. He has faced death once before, and so anything else is minor. A man who isn't afraid to die is capable of the unimaginable. In Episode 1, a fellow veteran tears into the pub lost in a mad rage. We see Tommy rush to his aid and calm him down. This showcase of understanding reveals a willingness to help those weaker than himself, which is repeated often between Tommy and his elder brother, Arthur. The constant swinging of whiskey and use of drugs shows the terrible mind Tommy has. It reveals a weakness in his character. When he wakes after envisioning the war after a drug intake, he appears vulnerable for the first time. I think this is key in opening him up to the audience. We're drawn to someone who is in control and has power. But it is this hidden need for help that warms our hearts to Tommy. Shelby is a worm that feeds off the rotten parts of your mind. He gets in through your ear with a whisper. Inspector Campbell summarizes Tommy's power over people, while I also think capturing his power on the audience. He appeals to our darker nature and makes us believe there's an admirable quality to the gang culture he represents. Tommy's intelligence is evident in the way that he carries out his plans for the Blinders. His ambition is clear. Making money is one thing, but he aspires for them to be the leading gang in England and ultimately to be a legitimate betting company. He's got demons and he's emotionally crippled, but I think he wants to do the right thing. And to do the right thing, sometimes you have to be as bad as the people above you. While his goal is for the family, it is clear that Tommy is motivated by self-interest. Anything that benefits the family benefits him. Although we consistently see his questionable morals through his smoking willingness to fight and hiring of prostitutes, he does live by his own moral code. He won't go through with killing Freddie once finding out about Ada's pregnancy, and repeatedly saves members of his family. Still, Tommy's nature has a distinct coldness to it. He is very collected, which often gives him the higher status or power in a scene. There is no remorse to his actions. If something needs to be done, it'll be done. Through Grace, we get an insight into who Tommy may have been before France. There is a softness to him when he talks of their life together. This dream of pure future, of family and a legitimate business enterprise, allows the audience to see a Tommy that could be saved, and perhaps to put themselves in the place of someone who could save him. I think it is the complexity of the anti-hero trope that makes Tommy and others like him such an appealing protagonist in this modern drama.